Okay, we are gonna get going here. All right, so welcome to our What's New with AvaSure webinar series. We are so excited to have you here. Looking at this list of folks joining, I see clients, I see colleagues, I see partners. It's a really great opportunity for us to highlight to everyone that we work with how we are working in support of you and your virtual care journey. We know that your care teams need technology partners to be innovating for a new era of care, and we're working every day to support your goals around patient safety and digital transformation, as well as workforce optimization. What we talk about today will support those efforts, and we are excited to share. So we'll go to the next slide. All right, so today we're going to be talking about some of the exciting new enhancements in our portfolio. If you've seen us recently at Five or at HIMSS, or we are connecting with you next week at AONL, these are some of the exciting enhancements that you are going to see in our exhibit experience. First of all, we're going to talk about some of our new AI features, and our newest innovation is the result of our collaboration with NVIDIA and Oracle. It was announced at Oracle Cloud World this past fall, and we're excited for you to see how this has progressed, and we're really excited to see about how we think it's really going to help the care teams. Additionally, an exciting new device option provides even more flexibility and scalability, something we know is really important as you are looking at your long-term virtual care strategies. Following our product highlights, we're going to look at the data, right? So for those of you who have been our clients for a longer time, I don't have to tell you how great it is having a customer success advisor. Our deep bench of experts here at AvaSure know all the tips and tricks to better understand your data and grow your programs. And today we'll have a member of our success team share a story about how one of your peers was able to leverage this data to track and improve their program, which is exciting. So finally, we have some exciting announcements this week on ways to connect with organizations like your own. So we'll share more about that. I also want to encourage you to be thinking of questions for our Q&A at the end. You can submit them anytime here in the chat, and we have a team standing by ready to kind of give you any information you need, and we'll review and recap that at the end and ask any questions you might have. So with that, let's get into it. Next slide, please. Okay, so our speakers today come from across AvaSure, starting with myself. My name is Lauren Peer. I'm one of the marketing leaders here. I have the pleasure of getting to share the innovations that the team in Michigan and across the US is working on every day to support and advance your programs. I'm joined by two seasoned nurses with tremendous knowledge in this space. One of the statistics that we're proud to share all the time here at AvaSure is we are more than 15% nurses, and you'll get to hear from two of them today. So first I'll be joined by Dana Pico, a clinical leader in our organization who deeply understands the challenges and opportunities many hospitals face. Dana does all of our clinical assessments, and she's on the road every week learning and connecting with our clients. You'll also hear from Erin Griffiths, who's a customer success advisor. Erin partners with our clients each and every day and is an expert at navigating the change management required to successfully build and grow a really solid virtual care program and helping to share everything that we've learned from our very large client base. So with that, I will invite Dana to join us. Next slide, please. All right, Dana.
Hello, everybody. You can go to the next slide, my friend, Madison. So you're probably saying I look a little different than the picture you saw. I am channeling our newest, latest, and greatest technology that we're going to be bringing to market by the end of this year. But before I do dive into our girl, Vicky, who I'm channeling, I think it's important to think about AvaSure and who we are and where we're going. We often say that those of you on the call that have known us the longest probably know us the least. The last couple of years, we have been feverishly working at improving and updating and innovating our technology, both from a hardware perspective and a software perspective. So if we go to the next slide, I think it'll make a little bit more sense to all of you as to what we're doing, what we're focusing on. Naturally, we always want the patient at the center of everything we do. As a nurse for many years, as Lauren said, patient safety, patient-centric care is always number one. But I think it's important to think about our clinicians, and we have a high volume of burnout, and we want to make sure that we really are empowering our nurses to be a little bit more autonomous at the bedside, give them tools to give them a lot of support to really do their jobs. But not only nursing can leverage our technology, which I think for a long time people just kind of thought of us as just a telesitter company, but now we are a complete intelligent virtual care platform. So those of you who are familiar with us, as you know, on the right-hand side, you can see where we started with virtual sitting and safety monitoring. But over the last couple of years, we've really grown and evolved. So what I want to focus on for right now and on this slide is that second circle. And as Lauren said, I travel the country every week with a couple of my colleagues, Dustin and Bo. And what we do is we really do dig into the details and understand where hospitals are going to really meet the needs of their patients, but then also meet the needs of their clinicians that work within the organization. And it comes up all too often about moving to a device in every room. So part of my presentation is going to be not only about our software, but about some of the new devices that we have and some of our current devices that we've enhanced. Aaron's going to talk to you about analytics, so I'm not even going to go through that. But I think the other components that are interesting to think about is cloud-based strategy. When I first started in healthcare IT about 14 years ago, when we would bring up cloud, I'd say 90% of the organizations I spoke with said, absolutely not. We cannot do cloud-based strategy here. But that has dramatically shifted. So AvaSure has embraced that shift, and we could obviously host your environment, whether it's on our cloud or your cloud, and that's something that we'd want you to discuss with your executive, your sales executives, or your clinical success team. That really is a really nice thing to talk about with anybody within the AvaSure ecosystem. I'm also going to focus on AI, and the other piece that I'm going to talk about, not only about AI, but I call it BYOS, bring your own software. And that's not saying that we're not using our software. I'm saying that by having an open architecture, I talk to organizations that they've made these tremendous investments in things like ambient listening, which there's some companies out there that do it really well. Well, by deploying a device, an AvaSure device in your ecosystem, and if you're looking at a device in every room, we really want you to leverage that technology you've already invested in and use our partner API to leverage that microphone in the room, especially when you get to a device in every room. And when we're thinking about clinician burnout, physician burnout, and you've already invested in some of those AI tools for clinical documentation, what better partnership than to use the AvaSure hardware in the room with the microphone, and then obviously your investment that you've made through that ambient listening application. So it really is a harmonious marriage, if you would think about that, and especially when you're thinking about scaling and growing your virtual care environment, it is important to think about a partner that does have that open architecture so that you can leverage something that your staff is already familiar with, comfortable with, and then use a trusted hardware partner like AvaSure because you already are using us for virtual sitting or virtual nursing or other virtual engagements with your organization and with your patients. So we'll go to the next slide, and I think it's going to kind of level set what we're talking about. So when you're thinking about AvaSure, again, those of you who have known us the longest probably only think of us as sitting, but I want you to kind of blow up that thought process and think of us more holistically, being able to cover all aspects of your healthcare organization. And in this picture, we're obviously depicting a hospital. And what we're trying to show here is that you can have a command center for your staffing components, not only for virtual nursing, but we have AI to support a lot of those workflows to help with throughput. So we'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. Obviously, we've talked about virtual safety attendants and the importance of them and where we started. The other components are around analytics and dashboards and being able to see in real time what's happening within your organization. So obviously having nurse leadership or executive leadership have the opportunity to review and see how you are leveraging the solution, but then also layering in some of that AI workflow to really improve a lot of the workflows within the organization, but then also the operational aspects of it. But before we leave this slide, I think the other important component to think about is we're not just for the acute care setting. A lot of organizations are really looking at expanding their footprint using a virtual care platform. So, for instance, last week we were at an LTAC. We're at SNFs on on a regular basis. We're having a lot of discussions about what we can do in the ambulatory care setting to be able to beam in those consultative visits so that we don't have to transfer patients if we don't need to, or we can get that expert viewpoint using our technology. So, I'm going to ask everybody watching and listening to think outside of your normal box and think about when you're thinking of your virtual care strategy, we want you to really think about you as a whole, as an organization, and thinking about where we can really leverage hardware and software to meet the needs of your patients. I always call it you're going to have virtual care envy. So, what will happen is once you start to deploy to all these different disciplines like case managers or wound and ostomy nurses or ambulatory care, you're going to wind up having everybody knocking on your door and saying, hey, I want to be able to leverage this from a virtual perspective. And that's what we want to do. We want to be your partner, and we want to work with you to make sure that all of your care teams, all of your environments of care have coverage, and you can leverage our technology to do that, both from a hardware and software perspective. And we will be happy to come and do an assessment, especially if you have a really unique use case. I'm happy to come and talk about it because that's what I love to do. All right, so let's go to the next slide, and this will kind of bring everything to light. This is Vicky. I'm going to channel my inner Vicky. Vicky is our virtual care assistant. The way that I think about Vicky is she's that bridge between your patient and your care team members. What AvaSure does, and what us as nurses and clinicians, especially when we're thinking about telehealth and virtual visits, we usually do a really good job of controlling that engagement and beaming in when we're ready. But let's stop and think about the patient's needs and when they're ready. So if we can go to the next slide, I think it'll make a little more sense. So you have a patient in the bed, and we always have taught them as a nurse for 27 years that we always have the call bell button within reach, right? And we want them to be able to use the call bell. That does not always happen. And as we're thinking about our population and what we have at our disposal in our own personal lives, many of us use different technologies like the Alexas. I'm going to say it soft so that everybody's doesn't go off, or our sorries. I hope you can hear that. But we get so in tune to being able to use our voice and have that ambient listening at our disposal so that we can obviously solicit some type of response and get an answer to what we need. Why wouldn't we bring that to our patients in the hospital? And not only our patients, our clinicians. So as you see here, what Vicky is our avatar. So she is going to be that bridge between your patient or your care team member in the room when they use that ambient listening tool within the room using our hardware, making their requests. So as you see here, that the patient will say, I have a headache, a severe headache. And this will buy you a little time if you stop and think about it, right? So it also will cue your patient request. But as a patient in a bed, if I can't find my call bell, I want to be able to get somebody to help me as soon as I possibly can. I'm used to calling out to my girl, Alexa, at home. Why not do that here? So this is why we've developed this. We worked with NVIDIA and Oracle like Laura was saying, and she is a prototype. I want to say that she is a prototype. We're looking for development partners, but just kind of get your juices flowing about all the amazing use cases you can leverage a avatar to be able to address the patient quickly and effectively, but then also route those requests to the right person at the right time. So if we go to the next slide, what we have is our virtual care hub. What I really like about this is it's not just for clinical, but the thing to think about first. Let's kind of walk through what you're seeing. So as we use this tool, again, it's a prototype looking for development partners. But as we're using this tool and that patient is making request, as you notice, it can triage and make assumptions about the sense of urgency. So if a patient is making a request, it will obviously be able to evaluate the level of urgency for that. And if I'm a virtual nurse, I can look at my queue and I can know which room to beam into next based on the acuity and obviously the duration in which that patient has made that request. I also like this personally from a unit clerk perspective. So I used to work in a nurse call industry, in the nurse call industry, and all too often we would hear that we've deployed these wonderful pillow speakers with all these different buttons, but they never get used. What better way to be able to really triage and see what the patient's needs are as a unit clerk than to have this virtual care hub up at my desk, and I can also be looking and monitoring and notify if there's something that's critical and the charge nurse is standing right next to me. Why couldn't I ask her to go run, or him, sorry, into the room and address those patients' needs in addition to having that virtual nurse be able to beam in? So it really is a multi-purpose tool from your clinical perspective. Think about it also from a nursing or a care team member perspective. I used to put PICC lines in neonates, and all too often I would be all sterile, I would be doing my procedure, and inadvertently I dropped something on the floor. The last thing I wanted to do was take off all of my sterile garb, have to call somebody in, have to try to stop the procedure, make sure that everything remains sterile, and get what I need. I could be in the middle of my procedure. I can say, hey, Vicky, because it is, I don't know if I mentioned that. It is, like we said, voice activated, like with a wake word. And I can say, hey, Vicky, I need a nurse to come help me. And that way I don't have to compromise my sterility. I can get somebody in the room. I don't have to touch anything. I can just use the power of my voice that I really think is impactful from a nursing perspective, especially when we need some extra pair of hands in the room. You may notice at the top next to clinical, which is green, there's also operational use cases. As you're embarking on this journey and you're thinking about where you're going and being able to leverage these smart rooms, think about from an operational perspective, and if you have any technology in the room, such as being able to control lights or being able to adjust thermostats, or think about your biomed team, that if they have this virtual care hub up, how many times do us as nurses, we are programming a pump and we get this error message that we have no idea what it is, and we get really frustrated, and then we have to stop what we're doing, go look for another pump. How nice would it be to be able to say, hey, Vicky, I need biomed, and they can beam into the room, they can look at my error message, and it serves two purposes. They can coach me through how to fix it, if I can fix it, or they can tell me exactly what to put on my little ticket that I always put on my pump that says exactly what's wrong with it. Because how many times did biomed call up to the floor and say, all I have is a broken ticket. I have no idea what's broken. I have no idea what the error message is. And it's another way to really effectively collaborate and communicate with your other care team members. So those are just a couple use cases about the virtual care hub and who you can use it. And again, I beg everybody to think outside of your box. It's not just about virtual nursing and other workflows, which we love and near and dear to our heart. But once you have this technology in place, the sky is really the limit. So if you go to the next slide, it kind of highlights what I was saying. So we really want it to be patient friendly. We did some research and we did get some feedback as to what is gentle and appropriate from a patient perspective. It does allow you to triage what is the needs of that patient, the care team member, and really make wise decision based on that cueing. And we really want to make sure that we are highlighting that this is a new technology for us. We partnered with Oracle and NVIDIA, and it is a prototype. So we are looking, again, I've said it 3 times. So all of you early adopters who are excited to try this out and to work with us, please reach out to us, and we would be happy to put you in touch with the appropriate team to make sure that you are one of those early adopters and helping us kind of get Vicky up and live so that I don't have to wear this wig anymore. We can show her in hospitals. So that's Vicky. That's our virtual care assistant. So now I think it's important to think about where we're going from a hardware perspective. So if we go to the next slide, I am going to just kind of reiterate what we've done in the last 2 years from our current footprint and our current form factors to our latest and greatest. All too often we'd go on site. When I first started here about 3 years ago, I had a lot of organizations that wanted the ceiling device because they had really small footprints, but they really were dissatisfied that it was one-way video, two-way audio. So we listened to what your concerns are. We listened and we designed, and now our ceiling device is two-way audio and two-way video. And the way that that works is it integrates with that patient television. So we would be able to obviously install that ceiling device and be able to integrate with your television. Still ligature free. We still have ligature free capability. You might be saying, well, I have behavioral health environments and I don't know if that would work. We can even integrate with those TVs behind the plexiglass. So that way your patients in your behavioral health environment can still be able to see that virtual care provider, which we do know, those of us who've worked in that arena before, we do know that we want to make sure that those patients' needs are being met, but then also that they can associate a face with some voice, especially if they are being monitored for any kind of delusions or delirium. So we're excited about that. We do still have our mobile device, but I've worked at many conferences and I had nurses come by and say, I didn't know you have two-way mobile. Yes, we have two-way mobile. So if you have one-way mobile and you're thinking to yourself, I really want to expand my virtual care footprint, you most certainly can trade in those one-way mobiles and go ahead and transition to two-way mobiles. That way you can do both virtual sitting, but then also virtual care encounters from any one of these devices. So start thinking about that. We have our wall-mounted device. Some of you, I was just at a site about 3 weeks ago, and you had those big old black boxes that you guys were moving. We have made them smaller for you. So now we have our Guardian Access that you can see, that oblong-shaped device. That too integrates with the patient television, and that can be mobile as well. But our latest and greatest is the device you see at the top. That's our Guardian Dual Flex. So if we go to the next slide, I think it'll make a lot more sense when I explain what that means. So we call it the Guardian Dual Flex because it actually has two cameras built into the device. It still has the fantastic microphone and it still has an amazing speaker. But what we have found that, especially as organizations are looking to put a device in every room, this is a way that we can really manage a lot of those AI workflows, which I'll touch on in just a minute, but then still give you that amazing pan tilt zoom quality. This device does have a 30x optical zoom. So when you're using it, you can zoom in and read a patient ID band. If you're doing two-nurse verification, you can go ahead and zoom in and really read anything, whether it's a TPN bag or if you're giving chemotherapy medications, you can read those bags and really have that two-nurse verification. But what makes it nice is, as I'm doing those zooming in and zooming out, if this patient is also being observed by one of your virtual safety attendants, you will have that static view and that AI constantly running. So that virtual safety attendant will still get all of the AI notifications because that static or that fixed camera is going to keep that constant look in that room and making sure that that patient is obviously remaining in the bed or not trying to get out of bed and walk around the room. I know you're probably saying, well, if there's a nurse in there, why would they do that? Well, sometimes we do get a little distracted when we're doing maybe two-nurse verification or preparing something. This is just another way to keep eyes on that patient. And the update with our ceiling device is if you want to add with our dual ceiling device, dual video and audio, we can also mount a secondary stationary device as well. So you can use that same functionality. So that can be constantly running AI in that patient room, and you still have all of the great components of our ceiling device to pan, tilt, and zoom and do all of those workflows. You can head on to the next slide, my friend Maddie. So why do a dual flex, right? That's probably what you're asking yourself. There's a couple reasons. One of the most important reasons, and what we've heard all too often, is that you don't want to have to take a room down to install a device, right? You don't want to pull cabling. You don't want to have to take a room down. I can't tell you the last time I went to a hospital across the country that actually had open rooms. So it would be asking a lot to take a room down and be able to pull cabling. With our dual flex, it has 3 ways to be installed. It can be installed on top of the camera on on top of the television on a bracket. It can be installed on the ceiling, or it can be installed on the wall. You don't have to take the room down. It's wireless or it can be wired. As I said, you get that dual view, so you can do all of your patient workflows from an AI perspective. You can pan, tilt, zoom. You still have the stat alarm functionality, And as I was saying, as with all of our devices, what's really nice is to be able to leverage that device for artificial intelligence, but then also being able to use that audio channel or that speaker and microphone if you want to layer in your own ambient listening software. So it really does serve multi-purposes. I think the thing that makes me the most excited is you don't have to take your rooms down anymore. It could be a quick install. Again, we can do it from the ceiling, on the wall, or right on a bracket on top of the TV. So I think that in and of itself will make everybody very excited to put this device in all of your rooms. And we'll go to the next slide. And I've talked about AI. I think what's important, everybody's hearing the buzz, AI, 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 AI. Well, guess what? AvaSure offers AI too for all of you. So what our AI that we have built into our system, into our solution, is computer vision AI. So we do falls and elopement. I think what differentiates us a little bit with our fall AI versus some of the others out there is we look more at joint mobility or joint motion, not just the perimeter of the bed, because all too often patients are reaching over the bed for their bedside table, their glasses, and you get a lot of false positives. And that's the last thing we want, is to cause any more alarm fatigue. So our AI and our computer vision is looking at the joint motion of those patients. So as a patient is grabbing the side rails and they're bending their arms or they're bending their knees, it really does draw the attention to that virtual caregiver. As you see in the bottom right-hand corner, there's going to be a notification that flashes at them at, hey, take a look at this patient. It looks like they're trying to get out of bed. You might want to interact with them and make sure that their needs are being met. Same thing with elopement. But the other pieces that I think are really important as we're talking about capacity management and worrying about having empty beds and turnover, we do have bed management functionality as well. So if you're thinking about that static camera or that fixed camera looking in that patient room, it will be able to identify if a patient's been discharged, if they've left, if environmental services has turned the room, if the room is ready, if the equipment is in the room. All of that can be up on a dashboard for your logistics or your bed placement team, so they don't have to depend on staff saying, yep, that room is ready, EVS was in there, you can go ahead and turn over that room. It really does facilitate a lot of that throughput. The other key components is around staff rounding, so we'll be able to identify based on scrub color if a nurse was in the room versus a PCT, the duration, patient turns. As we all know, pressure injuries are very devastating. So being able to monitor a patient and see how long they're on their right, their left, their back, even looking at if a patient's sitting in the bed, laying in the bed, ambulating in the room, and obviously sitting in a chair. We want to make sure that all of that is visible to your team. And lastly, be able to identify if a meal was delivered. So if you have a diabetic patient and you need to give insulin prior to their meal or do any kind of AccuCheck, or just making, if a meal's not supposed to be delivered and it was because a patient's NPO, being able to see that. And PPE compliance. And as I said earlier, you have devices. We partner with many different software companies out there, especially from an ambient listening. Leverage your investment, work with us. We do have open partner APIs. So we want to work with you, and we want to future proof your room, especially when you're looking at deploying 100, 200, even 1,000 devices. It doesn't make sense for it to be proprietary and not to layer in some of those investments you've already made. So this is where we are. We've been busy bees working here at AvaSure. We're excited to show you all of this, and obviously to move to the next phase with you. If you're a current customer, we're happy to talk to you about where you can go and where we're going. If you're a new customer, welcome. We'd like to talk to you some more. I'd like to come on site and do an assessment. Myself or Bo would be happy to do that. So with that, I'm going to take off my itchy little wig and I'm going to turn it over to my friend Lauren.
Okay, thank you, Dana slash Vicky. It's so fun to see our avatar come to life, and more importantly, think of how it can support care teams in their goals. They have so many requests, like how they can use the most with what they've got, use technology to help support them in that. And we know the new device is a real game changer. So many clients are so excited about what it could mean for them and their rapid deployment goals. So thank you so much for sharing all that good work, Dana. I will invite Erin to jump on camera here. Hello, Erin.
Hello.
Um, all right. So, Erin's going to help us look at how existing AvaSure customers can really leverage the data with actionable insights using examples of what has worked for others. So, take it away, Erin.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Griffiths. I'm a nurse here at AvaSure. My role, job title is Customer Success Advisor. There's a number of us that work within a team. Our team works hand in hand with clients every day to make sure that they're getting the most of their investment. Wherever they are in their virtual care journey. Our role is literally to connect and offer resources, guidance, and just really assist you along that journey that you are on, track your progress to success, align with your goals. If you think about it, we do want to keep you up to date, of course, on evolving technology and products, but there's so much more to what we do. And so we care about our customers. We have our team, we want to make sure that you're getting the most from our analytics and dashboards. If you think about it, if you have our program and you're not utilizing the analytics and dashboards, it's really kind of like driving a car without a steering wheel. So we want to make sure that you have all the things that you need to just really put all those pieces together. And so as we move along that, we are going to talk today a little bit about how to use your data, how to leverage it, how to share with your team, make sure that it aligns with your goals, and then work with our team in a partnership. Not only our customer care uh, um, you know, uh, team that helps support when there's technical things that might go on and getting you set up, but then as well our team to make sure that that is long-standing support for you and that you can reach all the goals that you would like. So one of the things that we encourage is for you to connect regularly with the customer success team. We have fantastic tools. We help organizations really dig into their data and take a closer look. We want to make sure that if you have challenges that we can meet you there. And so we start with leveraging analytics. We have two databases that we train on. They are incredibly user friendly, and we understand how to use them. We share that with you. We not only have virtual education, but we have one-on-one education, of course, as well. And to use the solutions and devices, we offer suggestions. We talk through workflows, barriers. And so we want you as well to come to us with some goals in mind. And you'll hear me talk a little bit later how one of our customers was able to kind of do that with us, partner, align goals, share with their team, and then have success. So I think we're having a poll here just to ask all of you a question about where you are in your journey. So I'll pause for a second. It's kind of fun to see all the numbers come. I don't see them changing as much. If you want to take a minute and just get it in if you haven't, we'll give you a little time period to do so. But it looks, of course, what we would expect that improving patient safety is the number one reason that people are doing that. Other wonderful reasons are workforce optimization. We know that there is, less. The less is more is not always optimal. So just optimizing as much as you can your workforce and getting those techs back to patient care is what we're looking at. Improved patient satisfaction is always important, and staff safety as well is very important. We know that the volatility of the floors only continues to get worse. So we also want you to kind of be thinking, if you don't have AvaSure, or if you already do, what goals you have in mind. Is it seeing decreased falls? Is it seeing, that workforce returning to bedside care? Is it seeing less workplace violence? Is it all of those? Because certainly it can be. We would like you to find some alignment with your team. Is this one person that will, be sharing the message, but are there others that are supporting the work? Is it supported by leadership? How does that look in your space? Or if it is not in your space yet, how do you want it to look? And then, of course, we encourage again just how you can work with your AvaSure customer success team to be able to realize some of those goals with our help. It's a partnership, and our success is your success. We get very excited when we talk to our customers. For a girl who always talks too much on a report card, you could not tell me enough stuff on a meeting. I love to talk. And so while I probably am not the smoothest presenter yet, I do love to talk to my customers and hear their great stories that they share. So I'm going to be highlighting our analytics tool next and see how it can help your organization. All right, so our analytics tool, you can see a little screenshot here of that. We have wonderful, powerful analytics that last year got even more powerful, and you can do some deeper dives. So you can track metrics that you can see on the left, patient demographics. Why are we using it? How often are we using it? Are we calling into the patient's room and talking to them in our own voice, or are we using the prompts? We do encourage the own voice more, but there are reasons why that might not be the best. And so we talk through those with you on the calls so that we know that you guys have what you need. As well, response times, of course, that's very important. And you can give specific unit-based, you can give day of week, time of day, month, year. You can separate units, you can separate facilities, so you can do some very deep dives. One of the most important is that you can as well benchmark against other hospitals to see kind of where you are in that journey and how they utilize it as well. We have a really neat tool called comparative sitter hours that will highlight how many hours of AvaSure and how many hours of one-to-one sitting. So you can see you can get a lot of really robust data to be able to kind of realize, is this working for us? Is this helping us? All right, I think let's go on to the next slide. So our customer example, remember I told you that I would like to talk about a customer that really dug into their analytics. They dug into meeting us as customer success team, and we paired together in a relationship where we had open discussions about what was happening in their site and how they could change the practice within their hospital. So we know that culture work is very hard, but this site is a wonderful little place. It's a general hospital. They are a short-term acute care hospital. We're going to call them general hospital for the purpose of this webinar, but they had 298 staff beds. They were very early in their virtual care journey when I joined them. And so we partnered together and we looked to increase the number of patients monitored and decrease their sitters. So I'm sure many of you started your journey with us with a goal to perhaps reduce sitters or perhaps see less falls. Those are very common goals, very good goals. But this site really partnered with us to start their virtual care journey. They have started with Telesitter, but are now moving on to look at other things within that virtual care journey because they've had success with Telesitter and they were able to prove that. So they had two goals when they started. The first was to decrease one-to-one sitter dependency throughout their facility, and the second was to decrease overall falls and falls with injury. So they met with us very frequently. They set goals to utilize the program, to educate about the program, to get program champions. They really guided their gatekeeper process so that when those leads were not there, someone else was there to kind of help mentor that program and keep it going. And then they tracked those metrics. They kept themselves very organized. We had several discussions where we would show just how they could prove the return on investment. We do have some tools. So when they were ready to, they had very high utilization, they had a very regular wait list. We worked with them to be able to help them prove and start building a business case because they said, hey, this is going so well, we need to move forward in our journey. So how about we go to the next slide? So what did they do? How did they have this holistic approach? They used analytics. They monitored their volume of virtual care sitters to their one-to-one sitters, that comparative staffing model that I was talking about. They promoted success internally. They celebrated good catches. They celebrated at huddles. They shared it at their falls committee. They made this kind of the hallmark of their falls committee, and they even had me come and present, which we are all happy to do. But they had just the data shared so that everybody knew what was going on. They shared with upper leadership. They shared with staff, and they were able to just increase that. And they saw what I think is really neat, and I think Dana spoke to it before. There's some resistance when you first start to then nurses don't want to give it up. We are creatures of habit, and so it was just really nice to see the change over time. They did have an emphasis on education. They did some education internally. They had use of our virtual education as well to just kind of drive that change, make people feel more comfortable. They included program champions. And so how did they keep those two main goals that they had? They had a proactive team approach. They did coaching, they shared the data, and they shared best practice. But then they turned that into, are we meeting our goals for what we set out to do? And then what is the next step on our virtual care journey? So our customers don't just have technology implementation, but full program partnership with the AvaSure teams to ensure that we help them roll out that program successfully. We develop that program, and then we add to that program as they want. So then as well, once they had all the data and they used the return on investment tool with us, they built a business case. They're expanding their virtual care program, and they're moving forward with that. And we look forward to seeing where they'll go, of course, in the future. So I think we were going to pause for another poll. Lauren, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
So, Erin, we are actually running a little short on time, so we're going to skip
Okay.
the next poll. If you could kind of move us quickly through the screens on analytics so people can understand the value that they can get, that would be great.
Absolutely, yep. So this is device utilization. Wherever you are in your virtual care journey, seeing, as you can see, there can be a fluctuation with census. Could sites be using their devices more? So this is one of the potential graphs that you would have in analytics to be able to show you our utilization dashboard. This gives you your view of how you are utilizing the devices over time. Is it consistent? Do you have kind of a steady flow? Are there waxes and wanes? And is there a correlated reason for that? Then of course, having program champions and gatekeepers to help you realize that when leads are not working, because they can't work 24/7. And then as well, drilling into that to learn more about what are those waxes and wanes in the data. What are they correlated to? Would that be, dips in census, higher patients that might need monitoring for prolonged periods of time? So the gatekeeper process is very important as well, but you can see it's so easy to find out your device utilization. You can split this up as well per facility, per unit, per time of day. It's incredibly easy. Let's go our next slide. This is our comparative sitter graph, and this is one of my favorite ones personally. Our comparative sitter dashboard is a manual entry of one-to-one telesitter hours. This lives on your server, and it is a populated in the green hours of AvaSure use. So when you get into analytics, if you have put those hours in, you can see what a wonderful support and tracking towards your business case to realize some of those virtual care goals. You can see how well this program is working, and you can make decisions on moving forward in that care journey. We always say, remember that a one-to-one sitter can only watch one person, whereas telesitter can watch many. So we want sites to realize, there is a way to figure out the flow for yourself, but moreover, it's about keeping more patients safe than just the one-to-one sitter. Lauren, go ahead if you can. And then events prevented. This is a very popular one. The events prevented shows you the value and being able to drill down. You can see that on the left, you can see hospital-wide the events that have been prevented, but then as well, hospital and care unit, you can drill down and see that as well. And then for those that would like to do what we encourage and offer reward to techs that are doing their job very well, you can see it split by virtual safety attendant or virtual monitor tech, however they're called at your facility. And what we do is encourage, like, hey, recognize the ones that have done the work incredibly well, have conversations, not punitive, but encouraging with others who might not be as comfortable, and then maybe have a tech of the quarter. We had one site that offered that, and then as well rewarded them with a trip to our symposium. So making sure you connect with your customer success team members, because we can help encourage these things. And it's kind of nice to see people go, oh, I like that idea. So, and then we'll go next slide. What did they do and what can you do? Engage with your customer success. We can't say that enough. We help you track your metrics, align them to your goals, and just manage that program. We want you to understand and drive utilization. We want you to see events prevented. We want there to be a ton of them. We want to see some wonderful stories that you could share, not only with your teams, but with us as well. And then, are you decreasing falls? Are you seeing fewer medical devices being pulled off? Are we considered monitoring for low and moderate risk suicidal ideation? Are you seeing a decrease in your one-to-one sitters? Have you made the impact that you want to make and getting techs back to bedside care? And how does this work in the continuum of you moving along your virtual care journey? This is the first step, but there are many steps that Dana highlighted that you can go from there. I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you so much, Erin. It's very exciting to see all the progress our clients have made and how effective these tools have been for them. And if you're out there thinking, wow, people are doing really interesting things, to that we would say, you are in good company. We have 1,100 clients here at AvaSure, and there are a million ways to connect with them and learn from them. And our favorite that I'll plug here is our AvaSure Symposium. So we just announced this week, registration is open for a symposium. We're actually adjusting locations. We've traditionally had it in Michigan, but we are trying a new location this year. Hopefully it's a little bit easier for you to get to us. It is so exciting having our symposium. It's an opportunity for our clients to connect. If you've joined us before, you know the symposium is a mix of real customer stories, virtual care strategies that drive results, and hands-on learning. This year, we're going even bigger, more networking, more innovation showcases, and powerful conversations on the future of care. We will have roundtables. We will have specialty groups that get together. You'll be hearing from leaders, peers. There's something for all different types of roles, clinical and IT. And if you're thinking about bringing your whole team, do it. It's the kind of event where everyone can take away something valuable. We'll have certificates available for your organization if you need to have those learning credits. And anyone who registers before June 1st will not only receive a complimentary registration, but will also be automatically entered in a raffle to win some scholarships from the Virtual Nursing Academy. So that is very exciting. If you move to the next slide, please. Another big announcement and exciting update. The AVA Prize nominations are officially open. So if you are not familiar with the AVA Prize Awards, they are our way of celebrating the incredible work happening across the AvaSure community. These awards recognize teams, programs, and individuals leading the way in virtual care innovation and impact. We know how hard you're working. You're reducing falls, supporting staff, improving safety. These awards are a way to shine a light on that progress and give the team the recognition that they deserve. So nominations are available here. You can use this QR code, or you can always go to avasure.com for more information. Additionally, let's move to the next slide. If you are looking to stay informed, personally, I love these What's New with AvaSure webinars, and we will continue them, but there are lots of great ways to get information about innovation coming, timelines for things, ways to connect with the team. The best regular source that happens more frequently than this webinar, which is quarterly, is our newsletter that comes out. So make sure to, again, use this QR code. You can sign up here. You can just email your AvaSure representative. They can connect you with everything. I'll also give a plug for 2 upcoming webinars that we have in April. So we've got one on April 17th in partnership with ATA and featuring the medical director of virtual health at Corewell Health, titled A New Era of Care, Evolving Leadership Structures for Virtual Care at Scale. We'll also have one towards the end of the month, April 23rd. The title is The Next Evolution of Virtual Nursing, Bridging Technology and Practice. There we'll discuss the latest research and technology trends at the forefront of virtual nursing and innovation. I know our Chief Clinical Officer has a giant binder that she carries with her everywhere of all the presentations she's seen, all the research that's gone out. If you are in the same boat where you're like, where can I aggregate all this data? Elizabeth is going to drive a really fascinating conversation with summary so you can understand what clinical evidence is out there and learn from everyone. AvaSure or not, right? Who's out there. So that's an exciting opportunity. Now we've got just a few minutes left. Let's jump into our Q&A. So would encourage you to add more into the chat here. We've got a few questions that have come in, so I will invite Dana and Aaron to jump back on camera. Dana as Dana, not Dana as Vicky.
Yes, no more Vicky.
Okay, so we received a question on the availability of Vicky. So I know people are very excited about what this avatar could mean for them. You mentioned multiple times it's in development. What can you tell us about that timeline?
So it is in development, and as I said, we're looking for partners to really kind of hone in on Vicky's skills, if you would. And our goal is to have her released by the end of the year. But before we can do that, we need those early adopters and innovators to go ahead and reach out and be one of our partners to get Vicky up and running and live. So end of the year is our best case scenario, but we still want to do some partnership with some organizations to really get her fine-tuned so it meets the needs of the hospitals.
I love it. Another question, Aaron, you showed us some awesome stuff that analytics can do. I know some of our clients are in it and using it every day and love it, but it might be newer to some of our clients. Let's say that you are looking to get started with analytics, maybe for someone on your team who is newer to it, and this is a reminder for that. Where could someone get started learning about analytics?
All right, so they can connect with their customer success team. If you are not sure who that is, you can reach out to us. Probably Lauren even would be a good person to just
Sure.
to reach out to, and she will connect you with the right person, and we would be happy to walk you through that. It's very user friendly.
Okay, and we got a question in the chat about supporting workplace violence. So this is a good opportunity for me to say we have so many customer stories. We have, with our really large client base, we have done so many case studies. AvaSure.com is the place where we can house all of these wonderful things. And so there are multiple case studies that we can share. I will follow up with Scholastica, who asked this question. We'll send you that specific case study. But I would say for all of you listening, if you have a lot of questions about how people have used things and you want to see what's documented, AvaSure.com has our repository of all of the wonderful things our clients have shared with us and work that we have done together, and we are adding to it all the time. So excellent question there.
You know what? Hey, Lauren, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think the other thing too to think about, especially as you're going on this journey, is that ambient listening component. We are partnering with different companies to listen for particular keywords like words of violence, tone changes, and that way we can hopefully intervene sooner rather than later, so that at least if you have the ambient listening and there's an event taking place, we can notify security or the staff or something of that nature, being able to leverage your technology in the room. So that's something that's coming as well. So think about that for the future.
Excellent addition, Dana. Thank you for jumping in there. So what will the topics be at Symposium? Another question. And I would say we are in the process of collecting presentations and presenters. So as we have done in previous years, it will be a mix of people who have submitted topics to just talk about what's happening at their organization, and then speakers that we bring in, so you can kind of get a wide mix of things to understand what's happening in the industry, what's happening in other client sites, and then you also have potentially the opportunity to share what's happening with your organization. So I would say please reach out to your customer success executive, go on avasure.com, nominate yourself or your team to share some of the cool things that you are doing. We would love to hear from you, and we would love to have your participation in this wonderful event. So that's exciting. Any other questions? Okay. Well, with that, I would say thank you so much, everyone who has joined us here today. We will make this recording available for folks to listen to. Please connect to, yes, thank you, perfect. Your customer success team, as Erin is representing this wonderful team that we have. There are so many folks that wake up thinking every day about how we can help our clients grow their programs, get the most from their data, do everything that they need to do within their goals. Please reach out to your customer success advisor. If you don't know who it is, you can use this email address and we'll connect you with anyone you need here at AvaSure. And thank you everyone for your time today. We'll see you next quarter.
Thank you.